Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video about the Nerd Forum. And in this video we're going to be going over an introduction to the new 3D Coat Textura. And if you're new to 3D Coat or just trying it out, this video will be both helpful and informative. So practically, to get started, we'll be going over the new features in the 3D Coat Textura, the general new look and where things are, and the main reason for you guys being here, learning how to texture paint. So if you want to learn step by step and alongside with me, I've left a version of this amazing telescope model that I've made in the descriptions, which can be downloaded freely just so you can have the whole experience. So yeah, enjoy! So when you open up your 3D Coat Textura, the new one I'm using is 3D Coat Textura 2022. Yeah, I think it's the newest version I've gotten right now. So when you open it up, this is what you have. You've got the new 3D Coat layout and where things are. Now things might have changed a little bit, but not too much. It's still navigatable. So on your left hand side, you have your tool panel. These are all the tools you're going to use while painting. So you've got your brush, your airbrush, your fill tool, your text, your eraser, your picture, everything that you need for texturing. Then on your right hand side, around here, you have your presets, your stencils. Your stencils are used for, I think, huge repetition. I usually use them for a huge repetition. But these are your stencils. You'll see how it works when I use them. And these are your smart materials. These are the materials you're going to be painting with onto your model. So 3D Coat gives people quite a number of really great smart materials. I think they're really helpful. So this is where you can get your smart materials. And if you click over here, you get each type. You've got your cartoon, dirt, your metal, your paints, and everything like that. And then above here, you've got your brush panel. These are all the brushes you're going to use while painting. So if you can click whatever brush you want to use while painting. So these are going to be your stroke tools, what you're going to use to stroke paint onto your model. Then down here, you've got your layer panel. So these are all your layers. So right now I'm on layer 1, since when you open 3D Coat, you only have one layer. Layer 1 is not layer 0, which doesn't have anything unless you import a model. And then over here, you've got your paint objects, sculpt tree layer, and then your paint object section is going to show you the models or the objects in the scene. That's usually what it does. I don't usually come over here to surface model. I don't really use those panels. Then great. And then up here you've got all like the extra details that come with the tools. So like if you've got a brush, you can choose whether you want to paint in the color channel, or in the normal channel, or in the glossiness channel. So the glossiness kind of translates to your roughness and your metalness. Yes. Then you've got your fall off, your radius of your brush, the depth of the paint, and you also have your gizmos over here. So right here you can change between, let me see. Okay, wow, I didn't know about this. I think so this is kind of new. Or maybe it was, I just never used it. So you can change whatever you want to change. So it seems like you can change to your front view, your left view, your side view, without having to press the hotkeys from clicking this camera over here. In your background, you can use background images. So yeah, okay, that's pretty cool. I've never really pressed that. And then over here, you've got your gizmos so this is so you can pan your scene, so you can zoom in, and so you can rotate your scene. And then this is to rotate, talking between two rotation modes. Okay, I don't think I actually ever clicked that. There's one where you can rotate the light. Yes, okay, there it is. This is your light angle, your light intensity, contrast. So practically, when you hover over these tools, it tells you what they do, but like what exactly it does. And then you've got your HDR over here. Wait, no, where's your HDR? It should be, okay, there it is. This is your environment map. So far, you've got only 4 environment maps. In the 3D Coat before this, you had like, I don't know, you had quite a lot in multiple environment maps, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's practically it. And then you up here in your brushes, you got your brush options, you got your strips, which have your, let me turn this off, which have your seams, like your stitches, and your zips, and all the cool things about strips. You learn as you paint. Then you got your color palette where you can edit your color right here. You can also click it here. So you can edit the color. And if you want to add an image or get a color from an image, you can just come and click image here and press anywhere. You can add your own image. And then if you add an image, and the moment you have your image in, and then you click a point on your image, you can add color to it. So yes, you can also turn that off by right clicking. So to turn anything off, you gotta click the X on it. Or okay, to turn off your color, you can click the X. You right click. Then over here, if you want to turn off anything, you only click the X if you want to use that. As you can see, it's also in your smart materials, there's an X. Your stencils, there's an X. And then, yeah, great. So now we can input our model. So I'm pretty sure you've probably already downloaded the model I've left for you guys in the description. So that'd be really important for this tutorial. It'd be very helpful. So I'm going to import mine. So I'm going to go to File, Import, Import Model for per pixel painting. So once your model, it's going to show you this panel of the information you want to bring your model in with. So I've prepared my model pretty well in Blender. I already unwrapped it. I've also unwrapped the model you're using. So it's already unwrapped. So we're going to keep this, as it says UV map typing. It says keep UV. So if you already have UVs, you'd like to keep this like this. And if you don't, you can auto map. I don't really do that now. I used to do it a lot, but I don't no more. Then your normal map software, I'm gonna set it to Blender. So whatever software you're using, you can change your normal map to that. But I haven't made any normal map. Like I haven't pre-made a normal map for my model. I'm gonna make my normal maps in 3D code. So yeah, you're gonna keep that checked, and no subdivisions, no smoothing, and your UV set name. So I don't really touch these panels. I hardly ever touch them. Actually, I've never really touched them, and it works really well. So we're gonna change our UV set name to scope, and our texture width, which is our texture resolution. As you can see, it ranges from 64 to up to 16K. So that's actually new to 3D code. It used to end on 8K. So for a basic model, a 2K resolution is really good. It still shows a lot of detail. So we're gonna keep it to 2K. Then we're gonna let it import our model. So the model has finished importing. Now you have your amazing model imported into 3D code. So now yours might look different from mine because it's like I said, it's a version of the 3D model I made. It's just so you guys can learn. So you won't actually get everything. So now before you want to start, since I have no normals on my model, I would like to make some normals so that when I bake everything like the cavity map, the ambient occlusion, it includes normals and all those other parts on the model. So that's what I'm going to start with. So what I want to do now, I want to go to my paint layer and see I'm on layer 1. I don't really understand this all stars thing. I don't really know what it's for, but I realized that in the new 3D code, every time I import something, it makes another layer. Before it just used to make one layer. So layer 1 is the meshes model for all the meshes. So if you uncheck this, I think it's gonna make all your meshes invisible. So it's where your meshes lie, and then your layer 2 and your layer 3, your layer 1, I mean, and above that it's all for painting. So what we're gonna do now, we're gonna hit numpad 3 to go to our right view, or you can come over here and just click right view, and we're gonna add some normals. So what I want to do first, if you press the number 4, not on your numpad, the number 4, it's gonna show you your model's wireframe or your model's geometry. So from there, I want to see the lines so that when I add my normals, I know exactly I'm adding them. So right now we're gonna use strips. So since we're only adding normals, I'd like to turn off the color channel and the glossiness channel. So I remain only with the normals channel. So from there, I'm gonna go to my strips, and as you can see, 3D code only has a limited amount of strips. I went on the website to look for strips, and I ended up with nothing. Literally, this is what I did. Exactly. So from that point, I realized that, you know what, I'd rather make my own strips that I'm going to use. Now, I've set my like how I edit my external textures. I've set it to GIMP. You can set it to Photoshop, whatever it is. I've set mine to GIMP. So if I set that edit, I don't know. I think mine has a glitch a little bit. Yeah, I don't know why it does that. I think because I've messed around with the strips a little bit, so it's kind of messy. But this is what it is. So practically, this is what strips are. It's how you can paint some seams and stuff like that. Now, this is really cool. You're gonna have to use this because you don't have the ones I have, but it's not that bad. I just don't like it because I just wanted. You see the edging over here in the middle? That's what I wanted first. So I can apply because the moment you turn on color, it actually colors everything. And in a normal stitch always has dark spots. So meaning these circles would be dark over here, and the seam will be dark in the middle, but it's all green. So I don't like that. And just so you know, it is using the color from this section. So if you change the color over here, it's gonna change the color. Great. So let's just undo that. And I'm gonna look for my personal seam. Alright, so I'm on seams 3. So I've saved my seams in a PSD format. I downloaded some of the seam and it didn't work. I actually purchased some seams online and they didn't come with an alpha channel, which is really disappointing. So I had to make my own. So from this point, now these are your brush types, like your stroke types, your stroke modes. So from here you can find whatever stroke mode you want to use. I'm going to use this vertical line. They all do different things. You learn as you paint. So I'm going to use that stroke mode, and let me see. That's pretty thick. Okay, that's actually really cool. So like I said, I'm going to turn off my color channel, and I'm going to do that. So with this stroke mode, you can just click a point and it's going to make a straight line. So if I pan, and if you hit your mouse wheel, like if you press it, that's how you pan. Or you can use the gizmos over here. So I'm gonna do that. Try and get a straight line. Okay, it's not that bad. Now it did its own thing also because, you know, they share UVs over here. So I just want to erase that. So I'm gonna come to my eraser tool, and oh, it's already set to that. So normally yours will be set to this. So you're gonna want to change that to this mode, to your rectangle mode. And from there, we're gonna click and drag. We're gonna left click and drag to the point where we don't want it. We want it to end. Boom. Great. So if you want these seams, I will leave a link in the descriptions for where you can get them. I'll explain that later on. So great. I want a seam over there, and I also want to put one over here. So I'll go back to my paint tool, and I'm gonna put one right here. Great. So now we have a very visible seam where the fabric end and where the fabric ends and where the fabric starts. So I think it did something. I think I messed up something. Let me just reset this page to default. Great, yes. So you can always do that in case you like delete one of the panels. I usually delete them by mistake, but you can always reset your panels to the default. So come out of that, and now what I want to edit is my texture. I want to mainly edit my texture. So over here you can see your texture editor, where you can edit your textures. So from here we're gonna I would like to left click and drag it out so I can expand it. I'm just decrease, okay. So I'm gonna expand this so I can see more of it. And if you left click and drag, that's how you pan in this texture editor. And if to increase your, doesn't that increase your stroke? Yes, your mouse wheel increases your stroke. And then if you right click, you can zoom in and zoom out. So now I want to see the wireframe of this. And right now on the color channel, I want to see my normals because I've only applied normals. So I've applied normals to this section. Yes. Great. So now I want to apply more normals. So I'm going to come here and use my picture tool. I want to apply some really cool normals, like some really cool decals, but only on the normals channel. So I'm going to come to my depth textures and I'm going to find the image I want to use. Great, I want to use this image. Now, one thing I did notice is that 3D Code, I don't know why it does this, but in the textura, it has this thing where it kind of mirrors it here. It's quite annoying. I don't know why it does that, but it kind of mirrors it. So you'll see what I mean when I do it. So now that you've got this tool, so why I'm painting the texture editor is because since this is a round object, I can't paint around it. I can't click here and click there. It's going to look quite messy. So I'd rather use the texture editor. It's easier and clean. So if I hit this point and I press this point, you see what it gives you. It gives you where you're going to be painting your decal. So let me just decrease my width. Let me just decrease that. Now, even when you navigate around, it's not even as exact as how it used to be. It's quite messed up. I don't think it's cool. So from this point, we're going to drag this out so it's kind of small and fits into this little section. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to paint here, but since it's quite inverted, you'll see what I mean. So if I come out here and I drag to this point so I can see the other side, oh, it's quite distractive. It's quite blocking. If I see the other side, you'll see how it paints. So if I come back to my picture tool and I press apply, this might take a while. Oh, also before you press apply, there's also quite a mirror. I don't know why it does this. So if you wanna, it says depth modulator. So if you set it to 1, which technically it's supposed to paint outwards, it's supposed to paint it coming out of the model instead of going into the model. So it actually does the invert of that. It actually paints it going inside. So I've set it to -1. So it paints it coming out of the model. You see what I mean? So when I press apply, you see exactly what I mean. It is painted in a weird way. It has done the invert of what I wanted it to do. Instead of painting on this side, you go to the brush tool. Instead of painting on this side, it's painted on the other side and it's made a huge mess over here. That's what I didn't want it to do, and it did that, exactly that. So rather what we're gonna do, I'm gonna undo that, and hopefully it's possible. Okay. So for it, sorry for the weird cut, but for it to actually work, you need to make it slightly off. Since the whole thing is mirrored, I don't know why it's like that. When I texture painted it the first time, it didn't do this. But like, you need to actually make it upside down and slightly off. Let me just zoom in so you guys can see how you need to make yours. So you need to make yours like this, slightly off, so you can get the desired effect. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna do that, and then you're gonna come here. Just make sure it looks exactly like mine. Then click apply. Then boom, it has drawn your artifact. So exactly what I said, like what I predicted. The depth needs to be on -1 for it to be coming out of the model. So once you have that, we're gonna add a little bit more images, a little bit more, some more decals. I'm gonna get that decal. Okay, so it is loaded in, and then we're gonna add color. You don't really need to add the colors if you don't use the color map, but it's important to do that just so you can see it. Oh, actually, it wasn't inverted. It doesn't look inverted. Okay, it actually is inverted, but it doesn't look inverted now. I was making a huge mess the first time. Because if you were to compare these and how it looks here, it looks pretty much the same. So now what we want to do is add another one and just make my width 1. Okay, increase a little bit more and increase that. And just so it works in 3D Coat, you need to invert it then. I need to make this upside down so it works. So I'm going to do that. Hopefully it works. I hope it works. An application shouldn't work on hope. It should work like how it's supposed to. So I'm going to apply that. Okay, so it has applied it, but it's quite high. I want to bring that down a little bit. So what I'm going to do, okay, no, I prefer to stay safe. I don't trust all the 3D Code tools right now. They seem to be failing on me a little bit. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to erase that. When you erase it, it seems like at least it worked in terms of orientation. I'm going to erase that. Come to my picture tool. And bring it down. Bring it down a little bit. Bring it towards the side. Maybe scale it down a little bit too. And then I'm gonna apply it. Okay, so it has applied it correctly, and I'm really happy with that. The result is really cool. So now what we're gonna want to add is a text. So we're gonna come to this text tool over here. I'm gonna click it. Now I don't think the text tool is actually kind of messed up like the picture tool. Picture tool is quite mirrored and messy. I don't like that. I think they should fix that in a newer version. So what I want to do, I want to write a logo. So since I got this image from a reference, like I got these designs kind of similar from some reference images. It's always suggested to use reference images whenever texturing. So yeah, I used some reference images, and there were some brands, really common brands that I don't want to copyright right now. Like I don't have copyright issues, so I'm just going to change the name, something cool. So I'm going to call it like Holland, England. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So Holland, England. So you can change the text right here, England. And if you want to change your font, just click select font, and it's gonna open up a whole font panel. You can change whatever font you want over here. Now I'm pretty cool with the Times New Roman. It's really cool. New Roman, England, pretty similar. Yeah, no hate on anyone who's from England, but okay, it's pretty cool. So then from here, I'm gonna zoom in. Now it works similar to the picture. Only difference is that, okay, I can't really see the color. Oh yeah, I need to change that. Change that to a color that's very visible. Black. It's very visible. Great. So I'm gonna increase that. Okay, no, I should increase it. It's quite similar to the picture tool, but I think it works different. I hope it works differently, because the last time I did use it, it worked differently and it worked well. I'm just hoping it works well also here. Then what you can do that's pretty cool about it, if you click in the middle, okay, let me just decrease it over here. If you click in the middle, you've got the ability to make it curved, which is what I really like, because I think it's a really cool effect. So I want that to be curved. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, bring it in a little bit, bring that down too, and then okay, that's really cool. And I'm going to press apply. Wait, just see, ignore, close. Always read these checkboxes before you do anything. Sometimes they're really important. So then I'm going to click apply. Okay, I'm really sorry for that pause, but then I was really like the text tool is really broken. Either it's broken or my computer's messed up or something like that. I don't know. If it's working on your side, that's amazing, but it's not working on my side. So I came up with an alternative. I used the picture tool, and I made some. I made the same entry in a image editing app. Then I inverted it in the horizontal axis, the vertical axis, so that it doesn't invert here, because the whole thing is quite inverted over here. I do not know why, but as long as there's an alternative, it's pretty cool. Not really a big deal, but if they were to fix it, I don't know if I'm using a beta version or something like that. Maybe I am, but it's not working the way I want it to work. But now it seems like it's gonna work. So I just you're gonna have the same textures the same way I've imported them. So yeah, just so it works, I had to invert it in an image editing app, just so it works, and so I don't have to invert it over here. So now when I press apply, it works. It comes in the way I've put it. Since the text tools that disappointed me very much, I am not feeling it. But we have this part done. Now let's move to the front. I also want the same thing to happen also in the front. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna zoom out over here. Okay, no. I want to zoom out. Radius not increasing. Okay. I want to zoom out that. And then I'm gonna come to this part. And since the whole thing is quite mirrored, I'm gonna need to figure this out a little bit more. I just need to figure it out and see how it works. No, it being mirrored has quite made it quite different. It made it quite difficult, to maneuver around. So I'm gonna use the mirrored version. You can just press escape over there. And I'm gonna come over here. Hopefully this works out. I'm praying this works out. Okay, since that's on the other side, this has to work the way it's supposed to work. It's probably gonna mirror it, but I don't think it's gonna be that big of a deal. Let me just bring that down. If it doesn't mirror it, that'd be amazing. Okay, I press apply. Okay, great. It's done it, and it's done it really well. Like, it's kind of mirrored it a little bit, but not that big of a deal. I think it still looks kind of cool. Not that bad. So now we're just gonna add the end part. One thing I don't like is the fact that it doesn't touch the side, but that's not really a big deal. Not that big of a deal. So come back to the picture tool, and I'm gonna add my final decal. Okay. So now we're going to do the second one. Great. Now I just want to add one right here in between that and that. So let me just zoom in. Okay. I'm gonna click there and I'll click over there. Then I'm gonna increase. So right now, if it's facing downwards, meaning if it's inverted a little bit, it's gonna come out facing upwards. Okay, so that's cool. I even know how to work around this now. It's not a big deal. But it'd be amazing if they fix it, or if it's just my computer, that's not a problem. Then I'll just have to fix my computer. But if it's everywhere, then okay, then they can fix it. I'll apply that. Okay, great. So it has applied that. Great. Okay, now it has applied really well. I'm really impressed with that. So now, what I want to do, I want to make, I think the final. Okay, now I think I want to add a few more. I want to add one more at on the other side. I want to add one more on the other side. Over here, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same, Holland, London. But this time I'm going to do it over here. I don't know. I'm not going to do it with the text tool though. I'm going to use the picture tool. Text tool is kind of botched up for me. I'm just going to remove this a little bit. It's kind of distracting. Okay, so I'm going to change that back to the Holland. Oh, but then if I change, if it's inverted here, because then if I apply it, okay, hopefully it works. I really hope it works. If I change that and then I press apply, okay, so here it's different. So when you paint on this, it actually doesn't have to be mirrored. So what I want to do, I'm just going to fix that right now. Okay, so I actually had to go back and re-invert the image. So I actually made two versions this time, an inverted one and one that's not inverted. So I don't have any issues when doing it. Wait, what the hell? Okay, cool. So hopefully it works now. I really hope it works this time. So I think the issue I had mainly was with the texture editor. It inverts the whole thing in the texture editor. It's quite annoying. So if I see, okay, I don't want that. I want it to be going inside this time. So also this, I think this should also be fixed. It's also kind of inverted. Quite a lot of inverts. Okay, I think it's going inside now. Okay, no, it is going inside. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back to the view. And I'm gonna add my last one, 1920. 1920. And I'm gonna apply this. So even though we didn't use the text tool, we're still able to use the picture tool. Great, so now I'm just gonna add a couple more things that I think are really cool. So what I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna put this back into its panel so it's not so distractive. So from this point, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go on and go to my stencils like I said I was gonna do. Now I have a few stencils. Yeah, I do not completely remember where I put it, but I think I know where I put it. Okay, so I've got a stripes texture. Since you can use, okay, no, the stripes is actually more accurate. So right now it's set on this material stencil control panel. So this is where you edit your UVs. So like when you're applying a texture or anything like that, you can edit it over here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go from camera, I'm gonna change that to UV mapping, meaning it should use it shouldn't make its own calculations like the 3D code calculations. It should use the UV map that I've imported. So it should use the UV layouts and everything like that. So from here, if I zoom in, hopefully this also works out. I go to my fill tool. I'll make sure all the strips are off. Okay, cool. And then if I smart material preview, it helps you preview whatever you want to apply. So yeah, it's really cool. But since there's nothing right now, I don't know why. Let me see. I change this so I can see. Okay, so it's all facing in the other direction. There should at least be one. That's not okay. So I'm going to apply on this one first, and then I'm going to go to the others. So I'm going to scale it. As you can see, this is the scale tool. my stripe, I'm going to scale it to a really nice number. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to press apply. I'm going to click on it to fill it. Okay, so that has filled it. Now we don't really want that, like we don't want these other parts, but I'm going to show you how to remove it. I'm going to remove it all at once so I save time. So what I'm going to do, now I want to rotate it since it seems like I made the UVs, some parts are rotated. Okay, so now you just use this rotate tool just so it aligns. Do not change the scale, keep the scale. This is your pan, your movement actually. This is aspect ratio. I don't really touch this. I don't want to touch it now, but you can touch it for certain things with a weird width or weird ratio. So I'm gonna press fill. Okay, I'm cool with that. I think I should have made it slightly smaller, but it's not really a big deal. I'm gonna apply it here too. Okay. And I'm gonna apply it over here. Great. Now I'm gonna come to my texture editor and I'm gonna erase. So you can also fill with color and you can fill with eraser. So I'm gonna use the fill with eraser and let me just pan. Okay, let me zoom out. Now I'm gonna look for the parts that I want to erase. So I want to erase this part over here. I zoom in. These extra lines, I don't want them. So I'm gonna erase that. Oh yeah, I didn't turn it off. I didn't turn off my stencil. So I need to turn it off because it's erasing with a stencil. So I'm gonna erase that. Find another one of them. And if I look around, so great. It has removed all the excess parts. Yes, perfect. Now we're gonna want to bake our cavity map. So in this video, we've finished the normal maps, and in the next video, we are gonna be baking our cavity map and applying all our textures, the really cool part. So that's it for this part of the tutorial. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Thank you.